How do we get to the OBEX? I'm usually here at the forums a lot, probably answering you guys less than I should be, but I'll try and be better. I get to the OBEX by clicking on this link. It's real easy. So we're in the forums and I just click on the OBEX. Let's see here. When we're looking at the OBEX, you can get to the OBEX here. I'm already signed in, so it remembers that I'm signed in. I'll take a look at the OBEX real quick, and there are a whole bunch of filters here. And I don't know the order of this, but it appears to be the latest things uploaded, the latest things worked on. So sorry for me being at the top. It's just that I was working on a bunch of stuff lately. That's not the intent. Filter to Propeller 2 is the way to use it. Filter by categories. We have the built-in category like we saw before.
I just realized that trying to search for an author doesn't work properly.
That's probably true. I would like to be able to do that. Motor control, one of the things you'll find is that we put the new the BLDC drivers up here now. The latest version, version 5. That's here. I basically, anything that's Iron Sheet, you see my logo down here on the bottom left. Anything that's ISP, I've been updating at the in the load. So one of the things I want to show you before I get into that is that you'll see some of these that whose authors are black, and you'll see that it means that it's not a link to their name yet. That's generally an indicator that these were uploaded by the archiver. And if something was uploaded by the archiver and you want to take over now and put in your latest versions, bring it back to your own name. If I were John, then I would press this adopt button, and that would move it to my name, and I'd be able to make the changes, and it would for then be owned by myself, and the adopt button would go away. So anything that's been added by archiver now has an adopt button right here. Really easy.
Only if you have the permission, because if anyone could do that, it'd be chaos immediately, right?
Well, it's not permissioned. We're all going to be gentle with each other, okay?
No, he said there was some sort of special permission that you need for this.
Well, there may be. I don't know. You can see that I'm me, and I'm looking at John's entry that the archiver created.
Yeah, you can take any object you want, but if someone just creates an account, they can't.
Okay. I don't know why that is, but that's fine.
At least I think that's how it works. And it probably doesn't actually check it, and you could probably just do it anyways. At least so far, my experience.
Okay, Ada, my point is though, that someone who has their objects uploaded by archiver can now adopt them and make them their own and take over maintenance.
Exactly. I've already taken over all the ones that I think
I saw that
belong to me.
A lot of work there. Thank you. I just want to make that point clear in the video.
Well, it gives me 12 objects now.
Yep. So when you go to your account page and you view your public profile, then you can see which objects you have. Well, for the most part. And I'm going to say that because, so these are objects published by me. You only get the first 10, and Michael's going to be working on this. This is still the stock page, and he's going to work on it.
There may be some missing here.
Yeah, there are some missing. And so now, before these had big, long, when the archiver loaded them, they had big paragraphs of text here. Once you take over the object and you put in the subtitle, then this becomes your subtitle text. And so the big block of text.
None of mine have subtitles.
And
except for 2.
But anyway, you understand my point that this is how you find them. So now we have these objects. They're going back to this, what else did I want to show? So finally, when I first got to here, when Michael first released this, we had a problem with me being able to take over archiver. And so I had a lot of old content up here that I couldn't adjust. Now that I was able to adopt them, all of the objects that we've been working with are now able to adopt them. We're able to put the text up. We have objects of different types. And so, for instance, my IoT gateway is both a Raspberry Pi object and Raspberry Pi code and P2 code. And so, and what you want to install is different based on which type of things you want to do with the gateway, for instance. And so the way I interpreted this in this case, and everybody's free to interpret their own, I have a repository where a lot of examples and documentation and how to set up your Raspberry Pi and things like this are all out there with lots of good examples, including system diagrams for how things work. I don't replicate that all here in the object. In the OBEX, I just put a pointer to it. And then for download, normally you'd be able to download files here. And instead, I just say for download, go out to the repo because you've got Python code, you've got P2 code, and you've got different types of code that you want based on what you want to do with it. Do I want to web back in? Do I want to be able to send mail? It's all of that is different things you can select from when you're downloading code. So I point you to the repo instead. I also point you to what version is released and to the release notes for it. And then here's the repository. And then it's also, here's the forum thread. And so I kind of tie it together for my object. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying this is what I did to try and help people understand how to use this object. What else do we have? In some cases, I have an object. You can see here, I've got the files here ready for download. I don't know if you know about them, but there's an OLED display set of devices coming out of Australia that are kind of fun from breadboard mates. You interact with them over serial. One of their latest versions have touch, but their earliest versions didn't. And so they were display only. I wanted to use this in one of my projects, and so I built a Spin2 object for it, and that's what's shown here. But then I also refer to the object in which I use it. And so now I can go over to that object, and see what's going on. And basically, I have these kind of single servo testers, and I decided I want to make a multi-servo tester. And so I have a push button with a spinner and a menu, and I can now dial into the servo that I want to exercise and test it and determine a range of motion for it. In this case, what makes this work is that these servos are coming behind the 16-channel PWM device. So I can have 16 servos hanging off of one I2C channel. And so now I can select which servo I want to range test, and you get this kind of output. But where it comes in is where you want to do a little bit more fun things, such as this mechanism is driven by 6 servos and off of the PWM device, and I wanted to range test these servos so I can figure out what the motion for the eyelids and the eyes are, and so I can test them and get these kind of results. And so this is one of the motivations for my building this. So how did I get here from the objects? I basically said that the Timmy object is involved in a larger object. And when we go to the OBEX, to get to servo exerciser object, we select category motor control, and you get to various different stepper motors, and you see the multi-servo exerciser object, which refers to its ability. So there are a lot of different motor control things out here already. Let's filter this to P2, and you can see that we're already beginning to develop a nice set of objects for P2 use. Is this all making sense so far?
Yes.
Any other questions? Let's see. So we saw adopting, and we saw finding, and we see that now that we can do this, this has become a usable platform. And thank you much, Michael, for working on this and getting this going, and for Ken just approving that we get this ready for use and actually make it usable. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing this. This was a really good overview. And I saw Johnny Mac jump in saying that he will go own his objects. And thanks, John, for doing that. And update whatever you can for all of us. And I think I have one thing in there, and I'll do the same. So whoever's got content in there, update it, own it, and let's make this useful, because it was a long process to get here. We got caught in stalled efforts and restarted things, and eventually found a tool that somewhat worked in our WordPress framework that Michael was able to modify. But this resembles the original intent of OBEX now. And Chip has put content there too, right, Chip?
Not directly. I think John McPhalen posted something of mine.
No, I posted your Flash file system
Oh,
out there.
yeah,
And
you did that.
the motor driver. Yep.
The float to string thing, I think John might have done.
And I'm encouraging Chip to really move all of his work, new posts from the forums to the object exchange and point to the OBEX so that we can show internally that we're using it and then others use it. Because going to the forums to search for code isn't a good idea.
Right.
After it finishes some development phase.
It's a bit of a longer trip doing it that way for sure.
Yeah, Skibby.
I could actually put my zip file with the latest peanut on that thing, huh?
It should be there, yeah. We should be drawing people there to encourage that use. And I see all these people here today, all the participants in the forum have been with us for so long and been using this that they'll go there and get the content, especially after we start using it. I might even have to put up a Blockly prop project. Stephen, you didn't say if we could insert pictures or video in that. Can we? Can we do that kind of thing?
I'm putting links to video, but I have not tried to insert them in line. That's a question for Michael. I was moving pretty quickly in between the other work we're doing, so I hope what I've done is useful without all of that. I tend to put most of my stuff like that at the repos too, because I put up a large volume of documentation for all my objects, and I didn't want to overload OBEX with all the volume of documentation.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed you actually brought in the BLDC controller, because I know you don't have what you really want out of GitHub in our OBEX, but at least it's easier for everybody to find that way and get to your content. Seems like a really good solution. Yes,
yeah, it's an amazing index for finding P2 things, and that's what we want it to be, right? So it's, if all of us have our own repos, that just in a sense it hides things. In a sense, it makes my work and my collection of repos easier for me, but then I don't get the exposure. And so the OBEX now gives us the exposure for that we're actually doing P2 work, and that we're contributing it, and gives us the master index to all of our different locations. So I'm a fan.
So now that we've done our self-congratulatory back pats, we're open to criticism of the OBEX the way it is today, or comments of any kind. So maybe go over there, get a look, or anyone who's taken a look, anything to add here. I'd like to be able to add in pictures and videos.
I think I saw links where we can do that already. I just haven't exercised it. So check the editor when you're creating a new object, and when you're adopting and then overriding. The editor has a little, well, heck, why don't I just show you again? Since we're talking about it, where'd my window go? Hello. I have to get a window. Did someone close it? Nope, there it is. All right. I was on the wrong screen. No, I suppose I'm not sharing the right screen with you. Is anybody seeing my screen? My OBEX?
Yeah, good.
Are you seeing the OBEX page?
Yeah.
I can't. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we do.
I can't see
Yeah,
my
we
screen.
are.
Good. Okay, so if we go to, I'll just pick on one of my objects. If we go to the edit link, what you're given is you have all these buttons over here. And so there are room for images, all the standard markdown things you can do, tables and horizontal rules. So check out the images. That's probably how you do it. If you're linking to videos, YouTube, you probably want to make sure that you have on your publication of your video that you want to show here, turn on embeddable, turn on embed is allowed. And then you'll probably see the first screen of the video here when you embed it. So just thoughts.
Very cool.